player on a average team, and I think that's been generous in some cases. So for him, this is definitely his first.
But he's not going to last that long. And then Ana, you know, if she's shooting opponents, she's obviously not healing. So I think it's going to be very difficult to protect these supports, but you also have a very strong dive to get into the back line with the Wrecking Ball, Doomfist, Sombra. So you definitely want to put some pressure onto JJoNak. And I think when you look at South Korea, this could potentially be their strongest comp, where you have the double snipers and you have JJoNak on Zen. Just 3 deadly heroes.
So this isn't a glass cannon on defense, it's a fine China cannon, Matt. Very fragile, but obviously able to do a lot of damage in a pinch. China will have to, as a result, play more aggressively than we're used to seeing teams play on this map. You have to see them, use the burst and the presence of the Wrecking Ball here and follow it up as much as possible. Eviltar just took a hit there from that high ground, so that's something you need to be careful of. This is the double sniper composition that I think was probably one of the most fearsome prospects from this South Korean roster, but Fate and Carpe just got turned into jello.
They leave the lobby as the hands of leave there. They'll come right back, though. As Carpe switches up, he'll go Zarya, but against double snipers. So South Korea realizes that they make a change right away.
Gushue on the front line there. South Korea very quickly shuttling themselves on towards the pointer. Now it's Lee's turn to step up, and very quickly he gets out. He's just dipping his toe in the water right now, trying to see where he can actually start getting some combos off and deleting some of these heroes. Lee took a lot of damage from the backside there. I think he only realized it after it charged in. Now the EMP being applied. 3 people knocked up though. Carpe takes himself out with a right click, but JJoNak has found 2. There is still a possibility here, but it's going to be tough with the Transcendence in play. Flatter, he gets turned to match as well. And Lee has definitely been finding his mark on the foreheads of South Korea with that big old gauntlet.
And here's the thing for South Korea. They don't exactly want to play the Reinhardt here right away. They want to try and make this work with Winston, because you can't allow the Ana and Zen for China to just sit up on the high ground and be able to land Discords, be able to land those big biotics. You need to try and put pressure on them. The issue is they're taking so much damage on the way in.
Lei Young, very easy to gain charge on the particle cannon there while sending that Wrecking Ball forward. Lei Young lets go the Graviton Surge go immediately now, with the Transcendence is called into play. Oh, Meteor Strike. Anamo gets flattened once again by Lee, but there's more work to be done. Fate lands on Eviltar, takes him down, and JJoNak from the side. It's a headshot for the Zenyatta. And you know he had to do it to him, Matt. Oh, dear. The recovery from South Korea, the employment of that Transcendence. Sometimes I think JJoNak just loads into game with Transcendence. He always seems to have it, but right then, that was the perfect time.
So Fate at the beginning of the fight got up to the high ground, put the pressure on the supports, was able to use Primal Rage, push them back a little bit. And when the Graviton Surge comes down from Lei Young, you don't have something like a Biotic Grenade, or you don't have the ability for Eviltar to get down there and use their own Transcendence to keep some players alive. And you see, as soon as they get the players off the high ground and they take that point, they go right over to Reinhardt.
Speed boost in, Transcendence forced out rather easily, if I'm not mistaken.
Early.
And an EMP over the top here. Yeah, you can definitely see that China are very invested in winning this fight, but the investment may actually be the issue. A lot of ultimates thrown in here, and yes, they will win out. There's no mistaking that. But they were definitely a little bit concerned about the speed at which South Korea approached them early in that fight.
Now you see China getting very aggressive towards the spawn of South Korea. You're going to have both Zarya's having a grab. You see how difficult it is. See how difficult it is to take JJoNak out. You need 3 players there, and now you finally get them. But so you did use the Transcendence a little bit earlier for China. You don't have a big support ult to keep you alive through Carpe's grab here. What are your options? I almost feel like you don't want to use some of these ults for China. You almost want to see if you can draw a lot out for South Korea and then come back in the next fight, see how they decide to play it.
Wow, what a way to make an entrance. Carpe drops down. Gushue gets the nano boost just to mitigate some of the damage, but with the Discord orb, that's not really going to be an option. And finding the Reinhardt is always priority number 1 in these tank battles. And you'll notice as well, or you won't notice, but I'll tell you, JJoNak has about 1/3 of his team's damage. This permutation of the triple tank, triple support composition that features the Zenyatta without the Ana is always going to be South Korea's go-to, because JJoNak can have that much impact as a DPS player.
And China's going to switch over to Lucio. They want to get a plus shatter here in this closed hallway. There's going to be the EMP. It's pretty big.
Yeah, it gets the back line at the very least of South Korea. Gushue finds Flatter with the fire strike. JJoNak, he will not be taken down. Carpe to the rescue. Big brother keeping his boy alive. And JJoNak just chilling back on that payload with that Transcendence ready to go.
Did you also see from Crystal's POV, gets JJoNak extremely low, but it's Fury there with the defense matrix right from behind, eats up a lot of those shots as well. You see, you want to pressure Jonek. You fall into this trap where you think that's the way to go about it, but they just play around him and just bait you in and bait you in.
South Korea again, crash upon China like a wave, looking to do some damage here. Carpe's fully charged up, and you can see Lei Young gets that grab going. Transcendence immediately pulled out by Jonak here. Fury still does get desuited before the healing comes in, but it may not be an issue. Sound barrier now. South Korea want to get aggressive. It's a massacre! Oh no! They just collapse on China. Nothing left to do but the crying, man.
So there, they just want to leave Sky alive as long as possible. And China making these changes, they're just trying to find anything that'll work here. They're going to make a change over to Widow. What are you going to do? Just fire into the tanks. You take out Animo there. That's pretty big. It's going to force South Korea to disengage.
Big part of the healing for South Korea is now currently waiting to respawn. Still, Gushue doesn't want to get too aggressive, but Lee perhaps didn't quite get the memo. That shield's about to break. Gushue's got to back up. Sends a fire strike in. He already has an Earth Shatter. He might be forced to use it in just a moment, but he's not about it. He doesn't want to get involved. He lacks his Brigitte.
He needed to break line of sight there because he's trying to get the Discord orb off. When Jonak landed on him because the shield goes away for a few seconds, there's no other way. He knows that the Discord's on him. They want to pressure him down.
It's like a bad tattoo you got in your teens and you can't get rid of, but that's the Earth Shatter coming down now. Transcendence straight away being used, though, and yeah, the self-destruct catches Gushue out. He was running on empty in terms of his shield capacity for much of that fight, and they just couldn't hold up in the heat. Carpe now laying down the law, and they get over the line. South Korea. Oh, dear. Everything they can is being done to snuff out the fire of hope in the Chinese team's heart. They get across the line, and 1 minute and 18 seconds remain in their time bank.
You know, China was just looking for anything, any kind of answer there. And you know, they thought they had it with the
to break LOS, which means you have to give up that ground. The Discord orb in itself is just so incredibly powerful. It's being illustrated here well for South Korea. But now China will step up. The plucky challenges leave as a skirting around the edge of the map.
So this is kind of what I was talking about, not exactly, but very close to what I was talking about them going with on Ilios when we were talking about, well, what they could have done. The Wrecking Ball Winston Diva combination. They don't want the Brigitte here because how do you get Brigitte up to the high ground, right? I mean, you could speed boost, you're going to be pretty obvious. They want the ability for Crystal to use that Genji, go up and pressure some players out himself.
Carpe will be challenged down, but Crystal probably can't remain here. The follow-up is good from Gushue. That's enough actually to force Carpe out of position, so that not terrible. But look at the health bars. Look how low Lei Young and Leave are. The tanks for China are really taking a beating here, just trying to set up, and now Carpe's going to punish this. They've lost a healer. Eviltal is not there. No more AoE healing for those tanks.
Sky has been playing primarily by the statue, towards the right-hand side of the statue if you're coming out of the offensive side. And South Korea has moved to a position to where if he wants to heal the Chinese roster and the Chinese roster wants to put pressure, they have to go around the corner.
Oh no!
Get stuck in the trap with the nano boost.
What a use of ultimates for nothing! A trap! A silly-looking bear trap sat on the ground will secure it and flat up. Trying to burn some rubber, he says, and Crystal incinerated inside his cybernetic armor. And you can see the Junkrat pick, not one we've seen tons of so far this weekend, but definitely in moments. The Riptire, the kind of thing that should secure you at least one kill. But it was the trap he put down that shut down two ultimates effectively.
And this is one of the harder defensive setups to break, because if you go tank heavy, you're just going to give them a billion Riptires. If you just kind of play passive, you're just going to get poked down on the point as well, and you just have the Diva from the defensive team jump down as you see Carpe just ripping some heads. But you know, the headshot's nice. The thing so here's the thing, you'll have the Nano Blade potentially, but you don't have like an EMP to take some of these abilities offline. So
you still have to worry about crowd control effects applied to Crystal as he goes in for his valiant attempt.
Got to worry about like traps and remote mines and whatnot. So
okay. Good little combination there. Crystal, oh, it's trapped again! He can't get out!
I jinxed him.
He doesn't look like a marsupial to me, but I guess South Korea see things differently. Oh man, that's so rough. Talk about pest extermination there. However, Carpe does go down to the minefield that Lee drops up on that high ground. You can see it across the way here. So Fletter now has to step up and provide the bulk of that damage. It's less direct than a headshot from a Widowmaker, to be sure. But a Riptire here from Fletter in a few moments might be enough to tip the scales back in favor. It's coming in over the top. No, the shield was there. Crystal takes to the skies though. Now with that Dragon Blade once more. Does not find what he needs, but Fletter fell to Lei Young. Now South Korea, it's more just a token defense here they're trying to set up, and yeah. Avert your eyes if you're easily squeamish. The Chinese squad get their revenge and will take point A.
Yes, there the Genji pays off for Crystal, but they may have caught it for a split second there, but Jonak uses Transcendence as Animo is going in for a res, and it gets broken up, and that's how they end up backing out around the corner. South Korea wanted to fight that longer. They wanted to have some players come off of respawn and really give that a shot.
There, I'd say it's more like
this is what we gave China props for in our last series. They made adjustments really fast and changes. South Korea, they were like, okay, they have the Genji, let's go over to Winston and we'll play, you know, the Zarya as well for Carpe. China changes right away. They bring in a Pharah. They have no answer for this.
He Fate took 2 direct hits and immediately was forced straight back. Jonak, that's another hit. He wants to stay and fight. Only Jonak would try for that and flip. What? He hits the whip shot from the ground. You can leave your Nene at home. That was enough for me. Self-destruct comes through. Gushue taken down. Attempted res by Evil Tal denied. Lei Young trying to back up. Leave is grounded. Stay in your room.
I got to see that whip shot again. So Jonak, like, he has no mercy pocket. He's just out in the middle of the street. And when you do have Crystal land a rocket on him early, and he's weak, he's like, all right, I'll give you the advantage. I'm gonna challenge this. As here comes a grab. You're only gonna connect with Lei Young here, so you will get the DMAC, but China may be able to still push on this, and now you get the Transcendence out. So you're China, you can back out of this, try and build up some more ults.
Yeah, that must be done. Barrage's response, that's risky.
Get 2 though.
He still gets 2 despite the presence of the D.Va in the defense matrix, and Fate's trying to follow up now and slow things down for China. He doesn't want to give them this opening. So now he's going to duel with Sky, trying to dodge the sleep. Sky desperately, but Fate, he's just giving him the old 2-step, the old Frank Sinatra. Drop back down on the payload now. Animo did go missing. China look like they're trying to make these fights chaotic, which is something that Seoul Dynasty specifically struggled with throughout the Overwatch League as an all-Korean roster. Chaotic gameplay. Looks like China were born into it, molded by it.
You can do a ton of damage with Doomfist through the second stage of the map. So you do see them get behind, leaves Doomfist, get aggressive. They're going to stay on the Doom Pharah combination here. South Korea not going to make any changes, it looks like. They're going to keep rolling out with this. It's only 30 seconds left. You also probably feel like if you get a Graviton Surge here, the game is yours.
Crystal encroaching. Definitely wanted to charge up a quick barrage. It's going to be in the so sound barrier quickly brought out of Animo though. That decays awfully fast, but it's enough time to deal with lead. Fleur taking damage on the low ground. Crystal knows he has to back away. It's very unlikely.
They're not going to get another fight.
Too much more going here. They have to remain. The barrage is there. It's going to have to be a risky run. The self-destruct though. Crystal didn't quite know where it was and it claimed Evil Tal. He was right behind Crystal. The Pharah got the safety, but the Mercy was left out to dry. And now Fleur, wax on, wax off, all the way to the bank. South Korea take map 2.
It's a much stronger effort for China in map number 2 though. Very good idea to go over to the Pharah Doom. Second stage of the map, they just got kind of stalled, getting through that initial choke point for a little bit too long. They couldn't really break South Korea's defense to take the point rather quickly, so they put themselves behind in terms of time. But you see the adjustments they make towards the second part of that map. They're able to make a little bit of progress, but South Korea just still too strong.
We've seen it time and time again. This team from South Korea are underestimated, their dominance denied, and they come and prove everybody wrong. But China are still in this one. It's a best of 7, and we'll see the rest of it after the break.